This is the deadliest era in modern times for the city of Portland. As 2021 winds down, we have surpassed a historical threshold with 72 homicides and over 1,000 shootings in our city. Back in April of this year, I saw what you did. Increased tension after a tough economic year, an upsurge in gang-affiliated activity, and a mental and physical health crisis, all impacting our community simultaneously. Many Portlanders no longer feel safe in their city. Business owners have closed up shop for fear of doing business in high-risk areas. Commuters fear for their safety, whether taking public transit or going by foot. Parents are scared to let their children play outside. People are leaving for work, going to the supermarket, or grabbing drinks with friends and not returning home. I hear your fear and your frustration. The tremendous loss our city has seen is not lost on me as your mayor. There is no amount of sympathy or symbol of solidarity that I can offer that will take away the pain of these losses. As a leader of this city, what these families and the greater community want and need from me and the city council is increased action and better results. My priorities have not changed. I remain committed to addressing houselessness, improving livability, supporting economic recovery, and increasing public safety. For the purposes of our time today, I'll share my vision for public safety investments in the city of Portland. Over the last 8 months, I've pushed to increase the capacity and improve the quality of our crisis response system. I created the Enhanced Community Safety Team, which focuses on the investigations of shootings in Portland. I created the Focused Intervention Team, a unit within PPB that seeks to intervene and prevent gun violence. Over 30 officers have now answered the call to fill the 12 available positions within the Focused Intervention Team, knowing the danger and the difficulty of the work that lies ahead. The Focused Intervention Team Community Oversight Group is working with the Portland Police Bureau to carefully review the applications to finalize the members of the team. Chief Lavelle and I remain committed to selecting the Focused Intervention Team by the end of this month. Portland Street Response has emerged as an effective element to our emergency response for community members who are experiencing mental health crises. I'd like to thank Commissioner Hardesty for her continued leadership in bringing this important response service to our city, and I appreciate our partnership in expanding it. We're looking forward to expanding this program citywide, prioritizing some of the hardest hit areas of our city. We understand and we embrace the value of upstream violence prevention. We invested heavily in this work earlier this year. We planted important seeds of change with long-term upstream investments that are in the final phase of dispersing $4 million to community-based organizations working to address gun violence. These community-based organizations support individuals and families vulnerable to and impacted by gun violence. We also understand that there are dangerous people in our city that no amount of upstream prevention will deter from committing acts of violence. These individuals must be held accountable for the crimes that they commit. So while I'm about to discuss investments towards better training, tools, staffing for our police, I want to be clear that these investments will support and complement the important role that community-based organizations play in our violence reduction efforts. Sustainable change requires a holistic both-and approach. We must work to fill the very real and very urgent service gap while supporting long-term upstream community-based solutions to reducing gun violence in Portland. The city is navigating a historic $62 million one-time surplus within our fall budget process. I'm committed to investing in programs that address houselessness and improve public safety. These funds are an opportunity to stabilize our city and can act as a bridge while we wait for longer-term investments to take shape. I'm going to take just a few moments to overview the investments I've proposed in this fall budget process around public safety. You'll notice that they align with the framework that guides our community safety plan to refocus, reform, and restaff as we work to improve our effectiveness, transparency, and accountability. First of all, refocusing. Over 1 million calls for service were logged in 2020, and we're anticipating even greater numbers for 2021. Portlanders are facing wait times when they call 911, and our police are overwhelmed by the amount of calls that they're receiving. We need to be more thoughtful about the responders we deploy to ensure the assistance we provide is tailored to the needs of our community and that our resources are being used as effectively as possible. As such, Community Safety Transition Director Mike Myers is working alongside the Police Bureau, Fire and Rescue, Emergency Communications, the Portland Street Response, and our expanded 311 system to appropriately triage 911 calls to ensure that we assign calls to the appropriate response service. We will always need emergency response measures, but the response we deploy needs to fit the specific call for assistance. Oftentimes, an armed police officer is not the best responder for a non-emergency call, mental health calls, and others. We need to invest in alternative policing solutions. So we will expand our public safety support specialists, sometimes called our PS3 program, to 40 specialists. PS3s are law enforcement agents that provide an unarmed response to low acuity emergency calls. This frees up our police officers to be able to respond to higher acuity emergency calls. There is great potential to continue to expanding this group to take on crime prevention duties. Greater alignment between the city and county will also improve the effectiveness of our gun violence reduction plan. We will hire a consultant to draft a plan that identifies gaps and duplications within county and city funded programs, opportunities for partnerships and investments, evaluates services and programs, and provides key performance indicators and measurements, and much, much more. Reforming. People across the country banded together last summer to speak to injustice within law enforcement. Our city stood with them, and we will continue to stand with them. I support those Portland Police Bureau staff who are truly community-minded and hardworking. The best way to support our emergency responders is to ensure that they are equipped with the training, the tools, the resources, and the personnel required for them to be able to do their jobs effectively and safely. We also need to change how our officers, new recruits, and seasoned officers alike are trained. We will hire a dean of police education and training to develop and institute a research-based curriculum, training protocols and procedures that align with current best practices. We need to have greater transparency to improve accountability and build trust within our community. We will fund an independent assessment of our crowd control procedures and provide recommendations on how to improve our response. $2.65 million will equip our officers with body-worn cameras, a necessary component of modern policing to increase transparency and accountability. This tool will benefit the officers that wear them and the community they serve by promoting better understanding of critical incidents and allowing for reflection and correction where necessary. Restaffing. Starting in the fiscal year 22-23, my goal is to bring on 300 staff for the Portland Police Bureau in 3 years. 200 of these staff will be fully certified armed officers, and 100 will be unarmed community safety specialists, PS3s. I know how bold a goal this is. Portland is not alone by any measure in the uphill battle to recruit the best and the brightest. This search is made even more challenging when looking to fill public safety positions. We need to be proactive in our recruiting of the next generation of public safety workers. We will invest in recruitment initiatives that bring together a diverse and energetic recruitment team to connect with potential candidates. Younger generations are seeking meaningful employment. Portland is primed to provide that meaning. We're looking for a new wave of officers who believe in community engaged policing and who will mirror the values of our city: anti-racism, transparency, and equity. We need to incentivize those entering the workforce to join our team. As such, we will begin bargaining with the Portland Police Association to seek approval to offer signing bonuses of up to $25,000 to the first 50 officers who are qualified or PS3 recruits. I'll have more details on this offering next week. We also need to build capacity so that we're able to quickly and effectively train new recruits. $856,000 will go towards standing up our own basic training academy in the Portland metro area. This will help expedite the training process for new recruits. Additional funds will bring more resources to our background investigation teams so that we can onboard quality officers at a faster pace. In the near term, I'm asking my colleagues on City Council to support immediate staffing solutions in the Portland Police Bureau. The Great Resignation, as it's called, is well underway. We need to remain competitive as an employer and work hard to retain the good talent that we have. I'm asking my colleagues to promote retention by offering longevity bonuses for current officers based on their length of employment. Our police bureau staffing levels are at record lows, and based on projected retirements, staffing levels will continue to dwindle unless we take decisive action now. We will fund a rehire option for recently retired or soon to be retired officers to come back to work for a 2-year period to fill this critical need. My hope would be to bring back 25 officers for this fiscal year and an additional 25 next year. To the individuals who've expressed interest in returning to the police force, thank you for your past hard work as well as the work yet to come. We need you. We will hire a consultant through the Community Safety Division to analyze the Portland Police Bureau's staffing minimums to determine and model out new minimums based on a deeper understanding of the time and tasks that the Bureau is being allocated towards, the types of calls that they are responding to, and we will have a plan for staffing that goes beyond the 303 years that I suggested and the 25 rehires this year and the 25 next year. We will have a comprehensive year-by-year staffing strategy for the next 5 years. This will result in a series of options that will improve response times and the numbers of investigative crimes that will be presented to the community for input and result in improved staffing recommendations to the Portland City Council. Without these investments, the outlook for violence in our city is grim. We need comprehensive solutions that reform, refocus, and restaff provides the framework to do just that. Police Chief Chuck Lavelle and his colleagues know it's a new day in law enforcement, and that requires deeper transparency and accountability. But they also need the resources to build the required infrastructure. Whether addressing public safety with a prevention or intervention lens, any effective effort will require time and investment. to disrupt the cycle of violence. I understand the frustration that people are expressing, and I want to act quickly. But time has given us the ability to be more thoughtful and intention in how we refocus, reform, and restaff. It's allowed it's allowed us to better integrate community participation and oversight. We have an opportunity to make sustainable change through investments. My proposal puts over $7 million towards increasing and improving our public safety response in just this year alone. As we wrap up this fall budget process, I have my eye to the future as well. I will continue to prioritize public safety, and we will bring additional funding proposals to the council for the fiscal year 22-23 budget, the process of which starts this spring. We will continue backing these investments and improving public safety across the city. That is my commitment to you. Thank you.